Hey, it is 9:35 on August 9th, 2021. I did not want to make this video, but I can't stop thinking about this. So there are some things that we don't really comprehend, but we kind of do, right? Like we know the basics, but we don't realize that the basics are super basic. So there's a million videos on the internet about how to manifest. I don't think like they really point out the obvious, like common sense thing. It's your emotions. So without making this video really long, without getting into some, hour-long thing, you're doing it right now. So you're watching this, manifesting more of this, okay? Because you want to remember something. You're manifesting right now. That's what you're doing. So what's the difference between experiencing what this is and experiencing a life on a yacht or like a garden cottage or I don't know, being driven in a limo, world peace? Like, what's the difference between what you're experiencing now and manifesting a complete utopia? Your beliefs, right? Sorry for my whatever. I'm gonna get this out one way or another. So your mind right now is thinking and imagining images. Don't overcomplicate the word imagine. It's basically the images in your mind, the things that are playing out in your head. Visualization is kind of like when you're focusing and forcing yourself to see something you want to see. So when I tell you visualize an apple, in your imagination, it's one and the same kind of, okay? Don't overcomplicate it. So you know how people say, oh, it takes 21 days for subliminals and manifestations to really manifest. Well, that's bullshit. It can happen instantaneously. The only thing in your way is you. So I'm going to give you a really complicated example, and then I'm going to give you a really simple example. People at age. I want you to remember what it was like when you were roughly 15. You're remembering it in your head, right? The images, the scenery. But are you remembering it in your body? Is your physical body recalling the physical sensations you felt as a 15-year-old version of yourself? Your body would feel completely different to what it feels like right now, right? Don't overcomplicate it. It's a simple yes or no. Your body right now feels different than the way you remember it feeling when you were 15. Somehow, in that time span, you chose and forgot, and then chose to forget what you felt like. Instead, you continued to feel a certain way about certain body parts that continued to manifest in that certain way. Now let's move to a really simple example. An emotion that's like neutral. You go through your day, it's the same boring day, but your mind's visualizing all these random different scenarios. What do you end up manifesting? you sitting in front of the TV, watching a screen, playing out a bunch of different images. You're literally manifesting your fucking reality right now. And that's why I'm not in front of the camera or with a notebook. Because I want you to think of this as your higher dimensional inner dialogue reminding you of something that you already know. Because in reality, it's all one reality. It's all one reality. All the craziness, all the timelines, all the parallel dimensions, all the parallel universes, all the gods and goddesses, all the theories you can come up with, it's all one reality. The reason why you don't see it that way is due to something called cognitive dissonance and fragmentation. Each version of you knows a different portion of the truth. So it's all one reality, kind of like a kaleidoscope. You're looking at the same thing, but you're seeing it kind of differently from each angle. So what do you manifest? Every single thing, every single second. Which is why I tell you so often, interrupt the pattern with a 16-second break of thinking of something completely different for 16 seconds. So how does your emotion really affect all this? Well, the basics of a human being is that you feel and you imagine, and you can create things physically with what you imagine and feel. So, if you were a character in a video game, you would have something called a mana pool, right? Magic points. And those would be the equivalent or a metaphor for your emotions. That's why in so many sci-fi and supernatural movies, you see the magician, the caster type, exert so much force that it's displayed as an emotional exhaustion afterwards. That's why so many emotions in the current world or in your perception of the current world seem to be negative and fear filled, which then create more negative and fear filled thoughts and images. And then they perpetuate regardless of when you sleep or not, because it's ingrained within the belief system and reiterated every day. And this applies for everything, everything that you're perceiving. You could be living in a house made of gold right now, but you have the belief that there's steel and metal and wood and cloth and light, and the color blue and orange in front of you. There's no blue and orange where I'm sitting, but on the screen it looks blue and orange. I'm confusing your emotions because I'm attempting to help you interrupt the pattern so that you can create or have the open mindedness to be able to create something more grandiose than what you've been doing. The basics of a human being is you can use your mind to form images, and with repeated use and repeated practice, you get better and better at it. So even if you don't have any sense to imagine anything in your mind, the more you continue, the more you activate that genetic code. We're not going to get into genetics because that's a whole other thing I don't want to get into. That'll be for another video. So when you're imagining something in your mind, if you want it to happen, then have an emotional response to it. Now, if you want $1 million and you can imagine $1 million being counted in front of you, and someone saying, would you like this in your checking your savings? If you don't really feel as excited as you would if you got $1 million without getting $1 million, you might get $1,000. you know? So some people can really feel the excitement of it, the gratitude. They can really emulate those emotions. And most of those people, they get traumatized. Those really empathic, emotional people, they get traumatized really easy. So they start manifesting really traumatizing experiences. And some people watch really scary movies and then they manifest really scary things happening in their life. It's so many simple, obvious things right in front of you. And it all has to do with your emotions. Let's say you're trying to manifest a different body part or a different bodily feature, like you're trying to lose weight. Something simple, something like getting clear skin. Right now, if you focus on your skin, you're very aware of either the size or the sensations on it or the pressure on your skin where you're holding your skin in a tense way. If you have a pimple or something, you're probably aware of it. If you have, body hair somewhere you don't want, you're probably really aware of it. But are you aware of what it would feel like if that wasn't there? Can you break the pattern and feel the opposite? Let's say you're trying to paint a masterpiece and you can see it in your mind, but when you're trying to paint, your hands don't move the same way. Maybe you have arthritis, maybe you're just starting out artistry and you don't know what you're doing yet. Well, if you can really feel your hands as if they knew what they're doing, then lo and behold, your hands are going to know what they're doing. The thing you have to remember is emotions are energy. The more you feel them, the more they build up. And then when you release those emotions with a focused thought in your mind, a focused image, kind of like you're spilling, reality soup onto a picture you drew that you want to manifest into real life. It's like if you're a character in a video game, you're casting, let's say, a group healing spell. You better be really thinking about the proper energy and feeling of healing an entire group instead of being really angry and upset and fearful or like, in despair before you cast that spell, right? You're going to have to focus your mind into the spell you want to cast. You're going to have to feel the results of that spell being cast. And then you're going to have to do something to release it. Well, the basics of a human being and your genetic code, through repeated use, you can activate certain genetics you want to activate, which is the same as manifestation. You can grow feathers if you want to. You just got to keep telling yourself there's feathers there and feel it. It's kind of like taking sword fencing classes. Eventually, with repeated use, there's something called muscle memory. Well, muscle memory comes from energetic memory. Energetic memory is an energetic signature. Energetic signature goes into the morphic field. The morphic field is influenced by everyone's existence and the energy they put out. The energy they put out is based on the thoughts and emotions they feel and think throughout the day. So, you want to manifest a car. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, really easily. You're going to sit there and, look really dorky, but pretend you're driving a fucking car with your body. Muscle memory. Give it a few days or however long you can, convince yourself to be gullible enough to believe that you're actually driving a fucking car. And you will. But you have to feel it. Just think of all the times you've ever loved someone and you've held their image in your face Think of all the times you've seen this cat lick her butt on screen and the absurd feeling it gives you. Now put that absurd feeling, but with the image of $1 million in front of you instead of that cat. But maintain the emotions of it. And then when you get when you get your $1 million, you're gonna feel this goofy and silly and absurd. That this cat is doing this on an internet stream. And we can't even assume if she knows or doesn't know. God's little helper. Look at those little toe beans. I made her a bracelet. She kept walking up to me and biting my bracelets. So I made her one and put it around her neck. She stopped biting the ones I have. Even she's teaching you how to manifest. It's kind of like going to a grocery store as well, or going to a restaurant. And you're standing there looking at the menu, and you're mentally visualizing and tasting the items you're reading about on the menu. So there's like pad thai and a double cheeseburger, and then there's like crayfish and maybe like I don't know, a steak or a bowl of cereal, some Nutella. And then you're sitting there looking at all of them and you're like deciding which one do I want to eat. And then you come to a decision because one of them tastes better in your mind to your stomach and to your taste buds that are in an energetic body. Hint, hint. And then you decide that you want to eat that thing with your physical body. So you go and consume that item. A few minutes later, that item is brought to you, and you're eating it and you're feeling and tasting the flavors you imagine. Now, if you want to get real technical with it, you can tell that food where to go by imagining it becoming something in your body. Extra scalp hair, different colored eyes, bigger boobs, a bigger butt, being skinnier, growing wings, whatever. It's your reality. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. That's why there's so many beings that can harness energy. It's just being wasted everywhere. If you could look at the energy of the world, each continent looks like it's surrounded by a different colored mist made up of the collective of that continent. You might want to clear that mist. You can do anything. All you have to do is hold that image and have an emotional response to that image. And then you're going to start experiencing those days where it feels like deja vu, where you're thinking, wait a minute, where's my toaster? But like, your toaster is there, except it's super upgraded because you've been using your toaster like an empress, every time you use a toaster. And lo and behold, you have this giant, huge oven now that's like automatic. And I don't know, it like reads your mind. Because every time you use that toaster, you felt like a boss doing it. You enjoyed that toast. You I don't know. You blessed every piece of bread and butter. You felt it all. You knew it was becoming a part of you. You manifested the best physical form you could have because you imagined yourself as that physically, emotionally, and energetically, like psychically. Remember in another video, I told you to imagine yourself as a superhero? For some people, it's really difficult to see themselves and to not judge themselves in imagination and create a negative self-image. So instead of thinking it's you could think of it as your multiversal self another version of you from another universe. That's the ideal version of you. And you can give that version all the powers, all the things you want. You can write stories about this person. You can imagine them doing parkour while you're driving next to you. Whatever. Just make that person real, and then slowly start talking like that person. Start walking like that person. Start pretending like you can lift cars like that person, or you can fly. And who knows, just maybe you can convince yourself enough to let yourself experience that in your physical body and not just your astral and your energetic. Because it's already happening anyway. You're just perceiving this in a limited way because you're choosing to perceive this in a limited way. Because once you actually allow yourself to grasp this fully, your life changes. And some part of you is protecting you from being the fullness and totality of who you are. It's kind of sweet. It's kind of like playing a video game and starting a new character. You know that feel of a new character, that feel of a new car, of new shoes, of new clothes, something that's so like untainted and innocent. That's what you are right now. No matter what you've done, that's how God sees you. And once you really allow yourself to grasp the enormity of what power you hold, you can't play small anymore. So if you're not getting it, go easy on yourself. There's a reason why. And like I said in the other video, have compassion. It transmutes everything. So if you can't even feel anything, if you're like a narcissist and you're like, bro, I don't even know how to feel anything above anger and boredom. Okay, well, can you feel bored while having $1 million and like helping a nunnery somewhere? Helping some orphans and be like super bored about that? Focus the mind and do something productive for the collective until you can develop something better. We can't go from boredom to bliss instantaneously and remain there without crashing all the way back down. So we build a ladder. We go step by step. We recognize how to weave one emotion into the next. And when we feel or are pulled into specific emotions, we know the thread pattern to weave ourselves from a darker thread to a lighter thread. Okay? It's all about your emotions. Your mind is being tampered with regardless of what you believe. So at least allow your physical form to feel positive sensations throughout it, as well as the sensations of providing positive experiences to other people. Because there is a whole variant of emotional spectrums that are available when kindness is shared among humanoid beings. It's something that is unique to itself and undescribable. People blanket it under love, but it is far, far, far more powerful than that. Okay? Because you're creating a energetic morphic field that is perpetually, permeably changing. So the more soft and cushiony and beautiful you make it, the better it is for everyone, including yourself, even if you're a supervillain. The cushier the world, the cushier the bad deeds, right? Which means eventually the worst deed possible is probably stealing a candy bar from some spiritual guru new age shop in the year 3000. I don't know. But the higher we go, the higher the bottom line gets, right? It benefits everybody. So if everyone had every need and desire met and every superpower active and everybody had their own reality and we all shared a fucking utopia and there was no violence, and if that reality is actually fucking possible in some version of reality somewhere, even a point whatever one chance that it's at least possible somewhere in the corner of God's mind, well, that means the worst is also possible, which means in some way we're deciding which way we're swimming. And we're doing that by the images we see, by the energy we release and create within us, the energy we're transmuting that's already there. We take it in, we transmute it, and we create some new energy with it. And that energy is influenced by our thoughts and our emotional, physical sensations in the physical body, which moves through physical density, which shapes the other realms through its energetic, vibratory frequency, bing, bang, boom, thingamabob things. Okay? It's like a sponge seeping into every version of reality, into all the dimensions. The more good you do, the wider the reach. The more harm you do, the tighter and more contracted your reach to anywhere, including within yourself. So it benefits everyone to feel positive emotions perpetually. Like, be really goofy about it, be really derpy about it. If you want to feel like a supermodel, fucking feel like a supermodel. Do whatever you can, regardless of what anyone else says, other than harming anyone, to remain in a positive and beneficial to life energetic state. Okay? Even if you can only manage to do it for 16 seconds, become a benefit to something called life with your emotions. If you can't imagine something, then whatever you're watching, let's say you're watching something that you really like, that you want to manifest for yourself, start practicing. Just start practicing. Start drawing, start singing, start dancing, start feeling what it feels like to have feet that look good in boots or feet that look good in heels. Start really feeling that. Start really feeling. And what I mean by this is right now you're sitting there or you're standing or whatever you're doing. Don't move your physical face, but I want you to smile. Do you notice the split in between that energetic sensation? Smile without smiling. Don't move your lips. Don't move your face. Don't move your physical form, but smile. Feel the sensation of you smiling without moving your mouth. Do you notice the restraint, the resistance, the tension feeling? There's something else there, isn't it? Look at your hand. Without moving it, move it to the left if you can safely. Move your pinky without moving it. Like, lift your pinky, but don't lift your physical pinky. Do you notice that weird feeling? That's your other energetic body constantly creating with you. All you have to do is practice. It's like riding a bike. It's like when you learned how to walk. You had to constantly get up and fall. You had to constantly remember what it felt like to be on 2 feet. When you learned how to speak, when you learned how to run, when you remembered how to swim, when you remembered how to drive a car, eventually these things became like second nature. So this is the next step. You're learning, remembering, and mastering how to manifest. And it's so simple. It's so simple. Pick an image, feel an emotion, pretend it's there. Keep doing it. This is why actors are so rich. They're constantly playing pretend. Do you get it? Be like that. Be like a child. How many more people have to tell you this? Okay, 3, 30 minutes. Okay, that's enough. How to manifest human basics 101. Pick an image, feel an emotion, do the thing. Repeat until thing happens. Harm none because it makes it easier. If you harm others, harm will come back. It benefits no one. Eventually, you cease to exist because you become of no use to existence itself. You change form into something else. Like, I don't know, it's like a soul reset. It's totally pointless being anything negative. Sorry, but it is. Like, suffering is pointless. If you still think that suffering needs to exist, then there's some belief that you've got to rearrange. It doesn't need to exist. Anything you learned, you can learn through peace, love, and humor, and wisdom, foresight and hindsight, and your imagination and your choice. So choose better. And your emotions create energy. The behavior you exhibit daily creates an energetic imprint in the morphic field around you. It's like moving through sand, and every thought and emotion you feel creates a shape in the sand, regardless of whether you want it to or not. It's just doing it all the time. So, if you want to create a beautiful sand sculpture, imagine the sand sculpture as you're moving through sand, because you're moving through the sand and creating anyway. You may as well benefit from it. If you are moving through, let's say, time, and time gets shaped by what you feel, think, and do, and it becomes gravity and matter, and you want to change the shape of gravity and matter. Well, you change the image you're perceiving and you're projecting out into the world in front of you, 6 feet, 12 feet, whatever. And then you feel the certain sensations of those 6 to 12 to 18 feet ahead of you and around you. And therefore, your hands and feet and eyes are projecting that reality outside of you, like light bulbs. So you want to change it, change the image, and the projection changes. The image being the light bulb in the head. Change that projector, what your arms and your feet are projecting out changes. Now you want to add an icing on top, look through your heart and add a light bulb there, amplify the emotions you feel, and really see through your emotions. And this is easier to comprehend if you have synesthesia, where you can taste color, you can feel, sound or whatever, all those things. If they're mixed up, I can't tell the difference, so I don't know how to describe it to you. Just if you have that, then you can really manifest effortlessly. I mean, God, you could probably manifest a fucking dinosaur in front of you instantaneously because you could taste the dinosaur. Ew. Do you get it? Do you see how absurdly simple this is? Okay, so if you have synesthesia, please help other people comprehend this in the comment section. If you comprehend this, please help other people comprehend this in the comment section. Make it really, really, really simple. If you don't comprehend this, please feel free to ask questions in the comment section. Someone will eventually help you. If it's not me, someone else will. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. What else? Yeah, do good, please.